Adult Services Librarian Grace here. I am back for our weekly Wednesday book talk. We're here every Wednesday talking about some titles that we think you'll enjoy from our collection. If you're looking for recommendations for another age group, keep in mind that our Youth Services Facebook page also offers book talks every week for kids birth all the way up through high school. So something for everybody there. I'm going to dive right in though today with our first title. It's called Veil of Lies by Jeri Westerson. And this is the start of a series featuring Crispin Guest, who's a former knight in medieval England. We're in the 14th century, which is a time frame that I haven't read a ton of historical fiction about. And it's really interesting because she's actually made him into something of a detective. So he's, solving murder, and there's always like a missing relic or, important like treasure. And he has to sort of figure out what's happened using less advanced methods because it's the 14th century, but there is a little bit of, it's fiction. So he sort of uses fingerprints in one story, and they sort of look at, hair color in another. And it's probably a little more advanced than might be realistic, but it's really entertaining. The language that they use is really entertaining because it is very, it's very historical and formal in a lot of ways. And actually she includes, I really enjoy that she includes at the very end every time a glossary of some of the terms that she uses that might be unfamiliar. So there are a few things that I wasn't familiar with as I was first reading, and then I was able to learn about those terms at the end. And now every time I start right at the end of the book, just so that I know exactly what some of the terms will be as we come across them. So I really enjoy this. They're fun. There's a romantic element that sort of goes through all of the stories. He at one point, begins to take a young man under his wing, and sort of he becomes the assistant to the tracker. So they have this relationship that's really great. Like I said, it's a series, so it builds out over the dozen or so books, but they could stand alone. The first one, of course, introduces him, so that's a good way to get started, since it gives you the backstory on sort of how he came to the life that he's living now. But Veil of Lies, Jeri Westerson, I really enjoy this series. The next book that I have is a nonfiction title. It's a memoir. It's called Old in Art School by Nell Painter. You might have heard of Nell Painter. She's a historian, sort of originally to a lot of people. And she's brilliant. And she, at a late time in her life, basically decided that she wanted to go back to school, to art school. And it's sort of her experience as an older person, fitting in a community that's typically younger people, because it's a college setting. That's not exactly where you envision. Actually, there's a picture of her here on the back. Someone her age. So it's sort of her coming to terms with being a fish out of water, but also questioning why it's so unusual for someone her age to do this, and finding fulfillment in what she's doing. It's really beautifully written. She's like I said, she's a brilliant historian, so her writing skills are amazing. So she's a perfect person to write a memoir. But it talks about her sort of art development, sort of some of the things that she's going through as she's in art school. It includes images of some of her works, which are amazing. She sort of discovers herself as an artist. So a wonderful memoir, Old in Art School by Nell Painter. And last but not least, you may have heard of this author before because he has a ton of stuff, but I'm going to mention him because I love his stuff, and a new one just came out. So if you haven't discovered him yet, I want to introduce him. Steve Berry. This is the start of a series that he has with a main character named Cotton Malone. He also has some standalone books if you want to, sort of get to know his work without the series, but I love this one. It's one of his best. It's called The Templar Legacy, and it introduces Cotton, who's sort of I would put this in the ballpark of Leroy Jethro Gibbs from NCIS. He's sort of that sort of character. He was a lawyer in JAG. Now he's this special agent. The series itself has a romance element. Every time there's sort of this historical artifact or some connection to history that he's researching or trying to get to the bottom of, or there's a murder. There's always some sort of main mystery that everything sort of runs around. I'd put it more in the thriller category as opposed to a mystery. There's mysterious elements, but he carries a gun, he's a secret agent. It is intense sometimes, but it's really fun. It's really well written. Like I said, it's sort of that NCIS, save the day kind of character. And he does a really good job of sort of creating that, making it really believable. I would say if you like, it's not exactly the same, but if you like John Grisham, I think you would like this. It's a little less legal heavy. If you like Dan Brown, the Da Vinci Code, that kind of thing, I think you would really enjoy this because there is always sort of that historical connection along with that thriller element. So yeah, the Templar Legacy, check out some of Steve Berry's other stuff. He has standalones that are really great, but this is the start of a series that I really love, and a new one just came out a couple weeks ago. All right, those are our titles for this week. We'll be back next week with a few more titles that we think you'll enjoy. If you're looking for specific recommendations for you, head to our website. We have a feature called Discover Your Next Read, where we'll ask some questions about some books or movies or TV shows that you've enjoyed, and then we'll make recommendations based on those. So if you're looking for something new to read, check us out there. Check out these book talks. All of our old ones are posted as well. And come see us at the library. We're open 6 days a week. Thanks.